welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Mitch Realdis and Jesse Morrison. I'm Jeremy Schnell. Well, we got some breaking news yesterday, boys. See, what had happened was...
Did we ever get breaking news yesterday?
ASU is not going to play in a bowl game this season. First of all, heartbreaking for the kids. Really wanted these seniors to be able to go out on a high note and possibly make a bowl game, but unfortunately not going to happen this year. Initial thoughts from you guys on just the bowl ban in general, guys?
I know somebody wants the floor on this one, so
Jesse?
I'll defer.
Yeah, this is an absolutely awful decision for ASU to self-impose a postseason ban this year. Here's why it's bad. Because Tennessee, University of Tennessee football program, and I know that ASU, I guess, doesn't have the same reputation that Tennessee does and probably would not get off as much as Tennessee did from a consequence here. However, NCAA, as Pat Forty in Sports Illustrated, really good column about this, pointed out, NCAA has been moving away from these bowl bans. So basically what Tennessee got was a fine and like some loss of scholarships for some really bad allegations that they had against their program. Probably much worse than what ASU had. So I don't understand why you're taking away from your own school a postseason appearance when that's probably not what the NCAA is going to do anyway. So it's just an unnecessary consequence for players that had no involvement in this. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. I feel bad for these kids. I feel bad for Kenny Dillingham. And, you know, ASU's just got to get a grip on stuff going forward because this is not cool. Honestly, I'm not as excited for the season as I was. Yeah, these games will be fun to watch, but what's the goal for the season? What's the purpose? Why are they playing these games now? Explain to me that.
Well, so I think we're all in agreement on one underlying theme, and that is the kids are getting punished the most out of this.
Yep.
And to your point about the NCAA moving away from these postseason and these bowl game bans, the whole purpose of moving away from them is so that they don't punish students and student athletes, and even coaching staffs for that matter, that had nothing to do with the infractions that have been noticed by the Committee of Infractions. Like, it makes absolutely zero sense. The worst part about it is the timing.
Yep.
You're supposed to be excited about this new age of ASU football. And literally 4 days before the start of the season, let's just rip the rug out from underneath you guys before you even get a chance to show how good you could possibly be. It's infuriating.
Here's Kenny Dillingham on just how he reacted to the news to the bowl ban.
I knew today would be I mean, they receive horrible news on a Tuesday practice in the morning before we meet for special teams. So to think that 18 and 22-year-olds are going to go out and have a good Tuesday practice is absolutely delusional. But I think the guys battled. The guys did the best they could do.
Was it emotional telling them that?
Oh, yeah. You have a whole bunch of seniors who compete, and they can't compete there anymore.
Did you know this was a possibility?
I was informed this morning at 6:30 a.m.
How did you find out?
I met with Ray Anderson and Gene Boyd.
Him saying that he found out this morning, I don't like that. I don't know how long this was in the works, but you would hope that Kenny Dillingham would be involved in this, making the decision to ban ASU from a bowl game thought process.
I think the word more so is awareness rather than involvement. Just the fact that he is aware that something is developing or something could happen. I think what he meant by when he found out this morning, I think he just found out that it was happening rather than, I didn't know that something like this was possible. I mean, look, he knew like something like this was possible. There is a clause in his contract that specifically gives him another year of eligibility as coach if something like this were to happen, and now we expect that to all take effect. So I don't think it's about, he had no idea this was coming, he was completely blindsided whatsoever. I think it's just a matter of he had no idea it was coming yesterday when it actually came down.
Here's why I think they waited until 4 days before the season starts to put this news out there or do this postseason ban is because, I mean, these kids, I guess, could still transfer if they wanted to and be eligible because of this, but they're not that, like, how do you go in, you learn a new system like week 1 and start? So basically what they did is, keep these kids here so that they don't leave. That's why they waited for this. They could have announced this in April instead of, announcing this now. And then, you could have, again, looked out for the kids. Yeah, your season would have been bad, but you could have looked out for the kids and done this postseason ban. And again, yeah, your season would have been awful, but these kids would have gotten to go somewhere else. These kids that you supposedly care about would have gotten to go somewhere else and have a chance to win, because again, they did nothing wrong here. Even if some of these kids were some of the kids that allegedly met with Herm on campus or any of these other assistants, that's not their fault. That's on the coaching staff for not knowing the rules and not following the rules if they did know the rules. And it's not on these kids for showing up to college. They're just trying to get their opportunity and their shot. And yeah, I guess they should know that there's a recruiting pause, but should they? Or should that be the coaches? No, I think it should be the coaches that should know that.
This shouldn't be a situation of like, oh, the student understands the risk when they attend the university. Because in reality, do we all agree that maybe this particular sanction should have happened maybe a year prior?
Yeah.
Or even
probably should have happened last year.
Because that season was going to be bad. Like, we knew that season was going to be bad. It was bad.
And you still had the figurehead,
yes.
Head coach Herm Edwards was still there. Like, Antonio Pierce, he already left. Adam Brenneman, he already left. Like,
yeah, there was big TikToker now, by the way.
There was plenty of opportunity to punish those who deserve to be punished in the now, and instead you're punishing this new group 4 days before the season and 1 year before you enter a brand new conference that may be a lot more difficult to get out of than this one.
I've got to say, I have to think that Ray's friendship with Herm Edwards had to lead into the fact that they didn't
100%
do this ban last year because, he didn't want to punish his buddy. Now it's not his buddy at head coach, and so now they're going to hand it to Kenny Dillingham to have to deal with. Ridiculous.
There's just so many thoughts that I have. The problem now is you did not want the players to leave, right? You didn't want to tell them. You didn't want to do it sooner because you didn't want these kids to leave.
Some schools have already played. You got universities that are starting instruction today. Like, it's way too late.
ASU started instruction like 2 weeks ago.
But here's the problem. You make it so that this shows that possibly the athletic department does not care about their kids, right? Mm-hmm. Like this, and why would kids want to come to this school?
I don't know.
If you're going to, I would think that this was a conversation for months. So you're going to keep this from your team for months and not tell the kids? What is that going to show a potential recruit? You're trying to activate the Valley. This only makes Kenny Dillingham's job a whole lot harder.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say this right now, but if I'm kind of giving Kenny Dillingham a free pass from here on out. If he does not activate the Valley, that's not his fault. That is not his fault.
No.
100% not his fault.
I'll give him a pass.
He is trying his best. He is just not,
He's dealing with some external
forces. He's being handcuffed himself. Sure. Mm-hmm. Like this, this can't help anything. And also, Pat Forty in the same column, he pointed out that ASU might not have enough money to pay a fine, and this is why they're doing it. To show the NCAA, hey, we're going to do this.
Biggest public university in North America.
They've got to have some money somewhere. They've got to have some money. They had enough money to renovate the football stadium. They had enough, come on, you can pay a $9 million fine. You don't have $9 million. Isn't that how much you're buying out the last two coaches for? Still?
Yeah, it makes it even look worse, or it looks even worse, knowing that they did the deferred payments for Herm Edwards as opposed to just straight up firing him and calling it severance.
Also, quick thing. Does ASU just have no money in its athletic department? Is that why they're saying that DFA is a fine facility? Like, is
I don't know. They just built a new hockey arena.
Yeah, they just built a new hockey arena that's super nice.
Don Mullet put a lot toward that.
Okay,
arena.
sure, it was heavily funded, but it still exists.
They couldn't find some hoops boosters that would pay for a renovation on DFA. It's not like you need to gut the place.
No.
You just need to like replace some seats and add some railings and get a new jumbotron. It's not that hard.
Anything else on this particular subject? Obviously, we're upset, but here's the silver lining. Unfortunately, there has to be a silver lining. This will be done after a year.
Sure.
And we can move on from whatever this was.
Well, we can't because the NCAA hasn't come down yet with what they're going to come down with. And yes, they're still going to come down with something. Even when U of A and their men's basketball program did this postseason ban, they still came down with some punishments. It hasn't really hurt U of A. They've still been a great program in men's college hoops the past few years. But they're still going to come down with a punishment, and we still haven't seen that yet. So I don't think this really goes away after the season unless they come out with the punishments during the middle of the season, which I don't see happening because the NCAA is a sloth-like mover in making decisions.
Yeah, if anything, like it makes this year difficult, obviously, because now the motivation is kind of taken away from you before the year's even begun. So how's the team going to behave? I mean, we heard Kenny Dillingham say that practice went not that great on Sunday as a result of the news coming down. How's the first game going to go?
Here's what Kenny had to say about that in particular.
Be the very best we can be every day. I mean, what I just told the team is nobody cares about your circumstance. In reality, most people in life would rather see other people fail so they don't have to work hard and to actually work hard enough to beat them. So everybody looks at this and like, oh, great, Arizona State's not going to be motivated anymore. That's a win. That's how the majority of the world thinks, is nobody wants to work hard to achieve success. They want to bring other people down lower than them, and they can do the exact same work ethic. So people are looking at us, and they're satisfied. They're singing for joy. They're excited because they think there's no way Arizona State football is going to be able to keep their mindset to compete. And that's the challenge is it's us versus us every day.
I just wonder, is there a way that particularly Ray Anderson, when this is all said and done, can save face? Because he is, rightfully so, taking a lot of heat right now. And if this was just like the only thing that he was taking a lot of heat for, let's say in the past month, where some of us are trying to force him into West Virginia, then maybe we'd feel a little bit differently. But right now, Ray Anderson he's kind of digging his own career grave right now. Can he get himself out of it before it's too late? I don't know. It's not very promising for him either.
He was at practice yesterday, did not speak to the media.
I wonder why.
The players that were supposed to speak, I believe it's supposed to be the captains that spoke yesterday. The players that were supposed to speak were given the option not to speak and decided to speak to the media yesterday.
Yep, good on them.
Kudos to them. And I can only imagine what they're going through right now.
I got one more thing to say on this, and I don't like to live in the past, but I'm going to say this. Herm Edwards, horrible hire. I was so for that because I'd watched him on TV, and he had a good shtick on TV with his whole, nothing good happens after midnight and all this stuff. And I was like, this guy's going to hold this team accountable and all this stuff. And you know what? He was a not so great NFL coach who ended up being a not so great college coach. I don't really enjoy watching him on ESPN these days. Enough of the Herm Edwards era. That was an absolute disaster. And I think, it set ASU back. It just did. And it seemed like it was going well for a couple of years.
That's what I was going to bring up, is that the first 2 years we thought it was a home run.
There were holes in it from the whole time, though, I think. And I think you could have seen that just with. I was driving in and I was listening to Bickley and Murata on the way in, and they had Jay Feely in studio, and Jay Feely's son Jace was on ASU under Herm, and he talked about how he would have players over to his house, and they said that like they don't really even know Herm or talk to Herm, and so like that you just can't have that. Your head coach got to know everybody. Got to remember everybody's name. You got to, there's 90 players on the team, 100 players on the team. You've got to talk to each and every one of them, make them feel like, they're at home.
You're the reason that somebody's coming to your university.
Exactly.
You're the reason that somebody wants to come play for your football team. If you can't make that connection, you've already lost.
And you've got to make sure that your assistant coaches are on the same page and following the rules, because
emphasis on following the rules.
That's just not what happened. Or you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat things. College sports, there's always rules being broken. Just make sure that your assistant coaches aren't getting caught. That's kind of my take here, because let's be real. Like, we wish that people didn't break rules, but it happens. So,
Life advice by Jesse Morrison.
Herm Edwards, terrible hire. I don't want, I just don't even want to think about that era anymore.
Well, so that happened. That was, let's tie the bow on this. Again, what I was trying to say before we continued on our rant was that we can finally start to move on from all this. Next year, we can really look forward to joining the Big 12.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the Pac-12 is going to cease to exist.
Yeah, this is the last season in the Pac-12. Sorry to interrupt you again, Jeremy, but this is so sad. The last season in the Pac-12, and there's no chance.
You know what I like about sitting in this chair?
What?
I can just mute you. That's just so exciting for me. Mitch, let's just move on to this season preview that we've been trying to do.
Include Jesse in it too.
Yeah,
to be fair.
His microphone's back on. I know.
Hey guys.
The season. It's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to get to see some players that we hadn't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can put all this aside and, obviously we're still going to be excited about this season. It's a new coach, new coaching staff, new defense. The defense is going to be very good on the back end. We're still waiting to see what the pass rush is going to look like. Just your overall season synopsis on what you think is going to happen, what the strengths will be, Mitch.
Well, heck, I thought I was going to be motivated by a team that has a young and energetic head coach and a bunch of coaches that are rooted here in Arizona, and that was really going to push these guys and maybe surprise a lot of people, not only in the conference but nationally. And then the news of yesterday happened, but we'll still see. I'm not going to say they're going to be world beaters. I expect them and anticipate them to play very, very hard week in and week out. I expect them to set a very good tone this Thursday against Southern Utah that really ignites the entire team and sends a message to the rest of the conference of, hey, you might think that they're lowly on the scale or in the conference standings, but they'll at least make you work for it. They're not going to just let you run all over them like the previous ASU football teams of old. They're going to really give it to teams this year, offensively and defensively. And I think it starts with Jaden Rashada being under center.
Here's what I want them to do. I want them to come out there and, not really show the rest of the conference. I want them to show their own school that, hey, you made a bad decision with this bowl ban, that we're a really good team. We're going to surprise some people, and we're going to come out here. We're going to go 10-2, 9-3. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to come out and be a 10-2 team. I think they're going to hover around 4 to 8 wins, somewhere in between that. 4 to 6 probably is more where I'm gonna go with. But yeah, I think that I just want to see them come out and just show effort and that they care and that they want to win games, and that because they're still trying to get somewhere. They're trying to get to the league. They're trying to keep their starting spot, whatever. I want to see these guys individually motivated. I know we talk so much about team, but, it's going to be hard to be that motivated by team. So I just want to see everybody, still get along, but be motivated by, some external factors like, hey, I want to get to the league, so I'm going to show out here. And, I still think it could be a really fun season because, we're going to be watching a new head coach, new young head coach, and then we're going to be watching a new freshman quarterback. And the one upside of this bowl ban is that you don't really need to go to Trenton or Pine ever if anybody gets unless anybody gets hurt, because I think that they're going to be you just let Jaden do do what Jaden does and see how he progresses.
Let him
and
develop.
Let him
grow.
develop. Let him grow. Because again,
No,
these games,
that's right.
I hate to break it to everybody, don't really matter.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
By the university's own ruling.
By the university's own ruling. They wiped away their football season.
I think let's just get to the strengths of this team real quick.
Okay.
Obviously, it's going to be the secondary. You got Clark, and you got someone that we were able to talk to. I mean, Rode Torrance is a beast, man. And he was so fun to talk to when we did talk to him. Shout out
Chris
Rode.
Edmonds is going to be a pretty good player for them this year.
I just think the secondary is going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited to see what they can do this season. In terms of the offense, I think the strength is obviously skill position. Not only the wide receivers, but the tight ends. That group is so deep.
I really like the running back room. I like their ability to add Scatabo this offseason.
I think what ASU does so well is that they bring in kids and then they're just 1,000-yard rushers.
Yeah.
That's one of their strengths. It has been. And to continue to have a coach like Sean Aguano coach that running back group is going to be another plus for this team.
Yeah, Coach Aguano is probably the best assistant on this team. And they're gonna run the ball well. That's what I'm gonna say. Is their strength gonna be running the ball? Skill position wise, as Jeremy said, wide receivers, tight ends, I think are gonna be pretty good. Question mark on the offensive line. Question mark on the defensive line. But as far as the secondary goes, I think they're gonna be really good at secondary. And I am intrigued to see what happens on special teams if they have a good return game. Are they going to continue the streak of good punters at ASU? Will the kicker be able to make 40-plus yard field goals? Like I'm interested to see that kind of stuff because I think those are question marks versus like what I feel is going to be a strength, what I feel is going to be a weakness of this team.
And it's funny because Wolf talks about it all the time during the week about how football games are won in the trenches. And we've talked about it all offseason. Our questions about the front five and then the front four on the opposite side. Can you win the matchups in there? And maybe we don't see it early on, but maybe as the season progresses, we start to see some growth and development, and they become this unlikely main character of how the offense and then the defense would run.
You would hope that, the offensive line is able to hold up a little bit. I hope that, some seasons we go out and we're like, I don't know if this group's going to do well. And then one of the players just decides to become one of the best players on the team. So
exactly.
You never know. These kids can develop and flip a switch. And you would hope that the offensive line is one of those groups where a couple of the guys flip a switch and become, solid starter role players on this team. Now we get to the interesting part, and that's the schedule.
Game-by-game predictions. I love it.
We're going to have fun. I can tell.
I love game-by-game predictions.
I'm going to go to the schedule right now, and we're going to read it week by week. It's going to be excited. This week at 7 o'clock, that's Thursday, against Southern Utah.
As Mitch knocks off the prop next to him over there, the mic flag.
We knew that was going to happen.
It was right next to
I haven't done it, though, so we thought it was going to be me that did it with the kicking stand.
Hey, can I just be excited about the opener? Come on.
I'm going to switch to the middle camera so you can see that there's a helmet in between Mitch and Jesse. Beautiful helmet.
Property of Jesse Morrison.
Jesse always forgets to bring it, but we got it this time.
I did. I put it in my car last night.
Good job. We're proud of you. If you want to go watch this, it is on our YouTube channel, AZ Sports or Arizona Sports. Just search us on YouTube. You can find it over there if you are listening to the podcast right now. But week by week schedule, Southern Utah, 7 o'clock. Start on Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Jesse, what do you think?
I'm going to go with ASU, and I'll give a score prediction for this game. Not for the rest of the games because we'll do that, as the season goes on. But because this is the game this week, I'm going to go with a score prediction here. And they're playing Southern Utah FCS program week 1 opener on a Thursday night in Tempe. It's going to be
We thought there was going to be a week 0 game between them and Colorado. That was like a rumor for.
Yeah,
like
I was excited for
two
that.
hours.
Week 0 was not great.
That would have been the best game.
Yeah, yes, it would have been the best game. Would have been the best game. I did enjoy FIU and
FIU threw for 4 yards.
Louisiana Tech. That game was a real like sicko game. If you guys know what sicko means.
Yeah, I mean,
in
like we
college
could have
sport.
watched USC, except I just couldn't find what channel it was on. Crazy how that works. Anyway.
Anyway, I think Southern Utah is going to struggle in the heat of Arizona.
So am I on the field. With the
Yeah,
camera.
we'll get over it.
Bring your towel.
I think that I'm going to go with ASU winning this one 45-10 because, again, FCS opponent coming down to the heat. It's going to be a rough one for the FCS school there. I don't
Let's
see this.
go faster here. Here's what we'll do. We'll go game by game, but we're gonna go back to the Southern Utah game and talk about it.
I had like 3 more words left in my sentence,
Okay.
Jeremy, and then I would be done. I'm done. I'm done. That's all I have. I'm done.
We got a limited amount of time here.
Okay.
Mitch, game prediction.
Now
Southern
I'm uncomfortable, so I'm just going to make a symbol with my hands. You guys can see this symbol that I'm making
W?
with my hands.
He's
making a W.
That is
Yeah,
a W.
It's great for the audio audience.
Do you have a score prediction?
I think ASU, like you, gets into the 40-point range, but I do think that Southern Utah is going to score a bit more than 10 points. Not a ton more, but a bit more.
I think ASU wins this game going away, and I think Jaden Rashada plays pretty well.
What's the score, Jeremy?
I was going to give the score prediction when we talked about the Southern Utah game.
All right, so let's move to the next week then.
Okay, whatever you say. I'm done. I have no more takes on the Southern Utah game. Just to let you know, I gave all my takes there because I thought we were going to go a little longer at the beginning, and then this is why we should probably meet before the show sometimes. But we don't do that.
Yada. Okay.
Game by game. I'm writing it down. Okay, so we all got W's, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oklahoma State.
L.
That's all you got? L?
Yep.
Okay. Jesse has an L. Mitch.
Should I get cheeky and say W?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than people are giving it credit
No.
for.
Here's why. Oklahoma State was a top 10 team 2 years ago, and then last year they very much settled into middle of the pack. What exactly about them has you convinced that they're going to be better than middle of the pack this time around? I don't know what it is. Is TCU going to have another pop-off season like they did last year? Probably. They have a majority of what they needed to get to that point last year. I think the fact that it's at home and maybe the team's motivated after the week and a half of preparation, I think it'll be a very, very close W.
I know. I'm pro Kenny Dillingham here, but the experience that Mike Gundy brings in to this game, I feel
He's way older than 40
he's
now, but
56 now, and I think that
Are we going to forever know Mike Gundy's age just so that, because we can go backward in time and know what year that was? That's
it was 2007.
Crazy he knew how bad Twitter was before how bad Twitter is now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm going to say is that, I just see the experienced coaching here leading to a victory for Oklahoma State. And again, we'll get more into this next week.
I think ASU loses this game, unfortunately. It's a lot closer than I think it's a lot closer than people are going to give it credit for, but I think ASU, unfortunately, takes an L in week 2. Week 3, Fresno State. I think this is possibly the biggest game of the season in terms of, I think ASU, this is a game where both teams are kind of on similar footing in terms of where they are. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
You called the Fresno State game the biggest game of the season, Jeremy.
I think
To this point, we're only 3 weeks in.
Is that what you were referring to, or are you referring to this isn't bigger than the Territorial
no,
Cup?
because I think it's going to be super close.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I do too.
obviously the Territorial Cup,
I mean,
emotionally, that's going to be the biggest game of the season.
Yes,
Don't sleep
and
on this
literally
Fresno State
any
team.
other Pac-12 game that they play all year.
No, but in terms of where each team is at, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Don't sleep on this Fresno State team. Like Mountain West, you can knock it all you want, but they've been
Good
one of the
conference.
better. They've been one of the better universities in that conference year in and year out. They've got a good program going.
Jesse.
Yeah, close one that ASU squeaks out.
I'll agree.
I think they lose this week. I think this will be, unfortunately, their second loss in a row. I think Fresno State's really good, and I think people are going to find out about that when they play in 3 weeks now.
I must be too optimistic. I got them 3-0 right now. Come on, boys, step up.
I had 2-1.
Then
I think we're in agreement on this one, though.
then the rumbling Trojans come into town.
Are we?
Last year I said ASU would beat the Trojans. It was
That was a
closer than people
mistake.
thought.
Well, I don't know. I got some takes.
I just don't like this one matchup wise, and they've got the reigning Heisman. By the way, did you see what he did against San Jose State this weekend?
Do you see what
Caleb
that
Williams,
defense
man.
did against San Jose State? Not good.
Okay,
That team
it was week 0 for the defense too.
Over freaking rated. Let me tell you, that team ain't making the playoff.
Former Sun Devil Eric Gentry. I think this is the first loss, at least in my schedule, and it's just because USC's the higher pedigree team, and they can wear you out offensively.
Jesse?
This game is at home for Arizona State. At Mountain America Stadium.
There'll be a lot of USC fans still.
I don't care. It's going to be at home. Frank Kush Field. It's probably going to be on a Saturday night.
Probably.
USC.
It is on a Saturday night.
Well, it says TBD.
Yeah.
We just don't know the time yet.
We don't know the time yet, but it'll probably be around 6 to 8 p.m. at some point. That's somewhere in between that. And I think that USC's defense is atrocious. They looked terrible against San Jose State. So, and I think that with ASU's pass defense, I think that their pass defense is going to be really, make Caleb Williams not have his best game. I've got ASU upsetting USC in this one. Kenny will have had the experience against Mike Gundy where, now he kind of knows what he's going to be going against an experienced head coach, and Lincoln Riley, who I also think is overrated. So, yeah, I think ASU upsets USC here.
Wow.
Students storm the field. It's going to be a good night in Tempe for the Sun Devils on September 23rd against USC. It's also, again, going to be pretty hot for USC. They're not used to that.
So, I think ASU unfortunately loses this game. I think it's going to be bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
I like
Okay.
the optimism, though, Jesse. I really do.
I'm not buying USC.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
First road game after 4 games. Here we go.
First road game. Going to Cal. Possibly ACC for Cal.
Going to the Atlantic Pacific. What?
The Mountain
Atlantic
West
Coast Conference.
American Athletic Conference, maybe.
So, Cal, possibly similar preseason prediction ratings as ASU. Maybe a little bit better. What are your thoughts on this game, Jesse?
So they're going to go up to Cal, first road game of the season. They're going to be coming off this USC win. They're going to be a little overconfident, and they're going to lose to Cal.
Mitch?
That's right. I forget we have different timelines working here. So after the USC loss, ASU heads into Berkeley, bounces back, downs the alma mater of Paul Calvisi and Lorenzo Alexander, and they're back at 4-1.
I think they go into Cal and they do win this game as well. I think Kenny Dillingham, I have them losing 3 in a row at this point, and I don't think he's going to let them lose 4 in a row.
No.
I don't think so. So, yeah, that's the Cal game. Then the biggest game of the season, I'm going to keep saying.
How many are the biggest games?
Deion Sanders and Shadur Sanders come rumbling into Tempe.
Don't forget about Travis Hunter
And Travis Hunter.
on the outside.
Yeah, I think that Colorado's actually going to be pretty good. I think people are discounting them for some reason, just because they lost a lot of players. But Coach Prime knows how to win, and I think they're going to come in and torch ASU.
Torch
ASU. Shadur Sanders, really good. Travis Hunter, really good. It's going to be a tough one for ASU. I think they're going to get torched in this game.
I think it'll be tough. I don't think it's a torching, though.
A lot of torch words in here.
But as far as who's got the edge and where does the advantage come from, I don't know, man. Both of these programs had a lot of turnover roster-wise, but Deion's bringing a lot of the dudes that he was able to convince to go to those HBCU schools with him to Colorado. I think that gives Colorado an edge because he's already familiar with some of these bodies, and as a result, it gives Colorado a win, but not an easy win, but it gives Colorado the win.
I think ASU wins this game, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think this is one of ASU's you're like, oh,
Statement win.
Ridiculous take.
I think ASU wins this game going.
Ridiculous take. More ridiculous than that ASU is going to beat USC take.
Well, you're going to hate my ridiculous take coming up later in the schedule then, it sounds like.
Okay.
Now they got to go up to Seattle. This is after a bye week.
Yep.
And they got to go
that's
play
kinda nice.
Washington. Maybe still in the top 25. I know, Jesse, you're not a big fan of Penix.
Yeah,
He just hates lefties. I don't know what it is.
No,
hate Tua?
I have no problem with left-handed
You hate
quarterbacks.
Tua?
I love Tua Tagovailoa. He's a great guy. Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. Don't come after me. Tua's the best. Just letting you know. Just FYI.
You got to watch out for Tua.
Just FYI. Yes, exactly. There's like basically this group of blind faith supporters of
Blind?
Tua.
What are you saying about me?
Well,
I would
anyway,
just get to your point before you
Tua
foot your
doesn't
mouth.
make any mistakes to this group on Twitter, so Tua's great.
He's never made a mistake.
Never made a
He's
yeah.
a sweet baby boy.
Yep, exactly. So this Washington
What
game,
happens? Do they win or lose in Washington, Jeff?
they're gonna go on the road. It's gonna be cold, and
Raining.
Penix is gonna rebound from his bad game last year. He's not gonna be great because he's overrated, but he's gonna rebound from his bad performance in Sun Devil Stadium last year. So I think that they win. I'm not gonna say they win big, but they'll win by a couple touchdowns, maybe like 35-21. I don't know why I'm giving a score prediction that's far out, but that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, generally speaking, the road schedule is going to be rough for ASU. Granted, they only have 4, but the Cal is going to be the easiest one, and the rest of the road trips don't look all that fun, and that includes this one up in Seattle. And I think Washington behind their home crowd, and with Coach DeBoer and Penix Jr. leading things again, it's an easy setup for Washington to win.
I also think Washington will win this one. It's cold. It's going to be raining probably. No, just knowing Washington about around that time of year.
I got yelled at so much about commenting about the weather when I was working with Jeff Van Rapport and Kevin Turner last year. Like, oh, it's cold or oh, it's hot. And they're like, will you shut up about the weather already, Mitch?
October 21st. Yeah, this is not going to be fun for ASU, unfortunately. Washington's going to be very good this year.
Great scene. Great stadium. You can go boat gating or whatever it is up to.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's
Husky
It's a
Stadium?
really pretty stadium.
I like boat gating.
The press box hangs from the top of the building. though.
That's what I will say is
they changed that.
the rising bleachers where they go up in like a curved bowl shape and then just kind of the overhang over that. Oh, it's frightening. I hate heights. Anyway, continue.
Then ASU comes back home. They play against Wazoo. I don't think Wazoo is going to be particularly good this year. Jesse, quick score prediction.
Well, I'm not going to give you a score prediction, but
game prediction,
homecoming, ASU is going to be at home. Washington State is not going to be able to handle the still slightly warm weather there in late October. So I think that ASU beats Washington State. Again, homecoming. It's going to be Halloween weekend, so a lot of kids are probably going to be out there at the stadium, before they go to their Halloween parties. So yeah, I think ASU evens up the record at 4-4. On homecoming against Washington State.
So I go against the grain.
Oh, no.
Because I'm buying too much into Cameron Ward and what he was able to do against ASU last year and another year in the same system. I think he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in this conference, Ward is. And I think him being with Washington State for this second consecutive year is going to be a bit of an advantage. And I think Washington State's going to surprise ASU. And I've got them now at back-to-back losses to both of the Washington schools.
I have ASU winning this game. I don't think Washington State's going to be particularly good this year. I mean, prove me wrong. I might be wrong. But I think ASU squeaks out a victory here and is able to get to 4 wins on the season. Now, a biggie. A tough one. Got to go on the road. Got to go to Salt Lake. Got to play Utah. Utah's been a juggernaut in the Pac-12 the past 4 seasons, I want to say.
This is the real best team in the Pac-12, Utah.
This is a big test for Kenny Dillingham and his staff.
ASU's going to get smoked.
You
On
think
the
so?
road. That's one of the toughest environments, not only in the Pac-12, but in the entire country. Those fans go crazy up there. Cameron Rising, great quarterback. As far as Caleb Williams is a better pro prospect, but as far as being like a college quarterback, I might take Rising in that one, even though Williams won the Heisman. I think the Heisman is kind of a meaningless award at this point. Everything
that is a hot take.
It's just the best quarterback in the country.
Let's save that for another pod, shall we?
Yes. But anyway, I think that Utah, they're going to absolutely smoke ASU in this game. It's going to be like 45-3.
I mean, look, the 4 best teams in the conference, in my opinion, in no particular order, USC, Washington, Utah, and UCLA.
Not Oregon?
In no particular order, the 4 best teams, in my opinion, in the conference are SC, Washington, Utah, UCLA. Guess what? ASU's playing all of them, and all 4 of them are better and have better pedigree and have better rosters, coaching, etc. than ASU. And as much as I hate to do this, but this is now loss number 3 of what's soon to be a 4-game losing streak for me in this particular schedule.
This is the hardest part of the schedule. Utah, UCLA, Oregon, and then Territorial Cup. That's the hardest part of the schedule.
Yep.
And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 5 out of the last 6 games, you play extremely tough opponents. It's going to be a tough end to the season.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that they could squeak out a couple wins out of those 6 games. Jesse, I think Utah's going to destroy this team, unfortunately.
Yeah.
UCLA, they got to go to the Rose Bowl. Maybe the last time a Pac-12 team sees the inside of a Rose Bowl. Jesse, what do you think about playing against UCLA?
I just
November 11th.
I just think it's going to be another loss. Like, I just don't see it. I mean, I know they lost DTR, but I still think it's going to be another loss for ASU.
No Charbonnet either,
season.
but UCLA seems to recover year after year.
They'll recover. They got Chip Kelly. It's going to be a tough one for ASU on the road there. I know it's not really the best environment at UCLA because that stadium is so big and you just can't get like an off-campus crowd that's that big. But there'll be like 50,000 there, and it's just going to be.
They're
a
all
tough
cheering
one.
for UCLA. That's just how it works. I mean, I teased it in the last game. This would be in my calendar their 4th consecutive loss, putting them at 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
So putting them in the pressure zone for the bowl game that they won't get to attend.
Are you 5-5? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, you only have them at 4 wins right now.
Do I?
Yes.
I could have sworn I had all 3 non-cons, Colorado and Cal.
Oh, you have them beating Cal.
Yeah.
So that's my fault then.
I don't have them beating Cal.
Okay.
I have them at.
No, wait. I have them losing to Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, so I only have 4. My bad.
I have 4.
We
I have
all-
4 as well.
All of us have 4 because I also have them losing to UCLA. I don't think it's going to be as bad, or I think it's going to be close. I think ASU is going to keep it close.
Yeah.
They could squeak it out in the end. ASU seems to do well playing against the LA schools in LA.
Generally speaking, I don't think they're going to lose any of these games by like a large margin. I think
Except for the Utah game.
I think the largest loss is going to be by 2-3 scores. But I don't think that's detrimental to the team, right?
Yeah. We're running out of time here. Let's finish up Oregon and Arizona real quick. Oregon, Jesse, do both real quick.
Okay, so Bo Nix's going to come in. He's going to light everything up, and they're going to win with Oregon, the Ducks are. So I think that's another loss for ASU. So I have them with 3 losses in a row there. That will take them out of their quote-unquote bowl eligible. They're not going to be able to go to a bowl, but they'll lose their
hypothetical bowl game.
They'll lose their hypothetical bowl game chance there. And then with U of A, I think at home, senior day, coming off of 3 losses, coming off the loss last year, I think that they're going to come in to this one and be super fired up, super prepared. They're going to win. They're going to be 5-7. That's what's going to happen at the end of this season. And I think that, Kenny Dillingham's first year at ASU will be a 5-7 season.
It's going to end with a bang.
Yeah.
Oregon coming into ASU.
Ooh, we
not
know
on
that.
Kenny.
We know
not on Kenny
one.
Dillingham's watch. Not on Kenny Dillingham's watch, baby.
He knows this offense.
It's revenge season for Kenny Dillingham, even though there's nothing to revenge. Kenny Dillingham is going to take down his former Oregon Ducks at home. Take that, Aaron Maloney. The Ducks are losing in Tempe this year. And then to close out this season, where we're sitting at 5 wins and 6 losses, with 1 win to get the
hypothetical bowl
game
eligibility
that no longer exists for them. They're going to take it to those silly kitties from down south, and they're going to finish 6-6.
Okay.
There you go.
And then I think ASU unfortunately loses to Oregon, and then the week after I think they take it to U of A. And, possibly...
Look, were we ever going to say that the other school was going to win this game? No.
Here's what I'll say about that, though.
Well, last year I picked U of A.
Well, that was after.
Yeah,
you didn't pick them at the beginning of the season.
Did I? I don't remember.
No, you picked them. You flip flopped at the
when
end.
They were 3-8 going to that game. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think ASU will lose to Oregon, but I think they'll come and kill U of A here, and possibly U of A, having a chance to go to a bowl game. That could be like both teams have 5 wins at that point, or 4 wins for ASU. Beat U of A and keep them from going to a bowl game. That would be interesting.
That'll be some motivation.
So that's that. Let's finish off with just some Southern Utah thoughts. What do you want to see from that game, Jesse?
I just want to see Rashada play well. I want to see the defense play really well. I want to see the offensive line be able to protect Jaden Rashada. I want the defensive line and the linebackers to get some pressure on Southern Utah. And I want to see a blowout. If it's like a 21-10 game, I'm not going to be as happy as I would be if it was 35-7, 38-7, 45-10, something like that. Win this one convincingly and show me that the weaknesses that I think this team has aren't exactly weak.
Just show that despite this terrible news coming down yesterday, that you are still motivated to want to go out there and perform to the best of your ability. That's all I can hope for. Because we'll know whether or not this team's motivated for the rest of the season based on how they do 3 days from now.
I just want to see Jaden Rashada go out there and get some confidence. I think that's the biggest thing here. I think we're going to see a little bit of Trenton Bourguet because it's going to get away from Southern Utah a little bit. But it's not because Jaden Rashada played bad.
No,
Jaden Rashada's pass complete. Do you guys like my stadium announcer impression?
So we
there?
have stadium announcer impression. We have surfer professor dude.
Well, that sounds like I feel like I did a good job of imitating the ASU PA announcer.
Great man.
Rashada's pass complete.
Scatabo on the carry.
Yeah, Scatabo.
A pickup of 2 yards.
Yep.
Anyway,
love that gentleman, by the way, whoever you are.
I'll give my score prediction. I think ASU is going to win this 35-14.
Okay, so you think less than 40?
Yes.
Okay.
35-14 will be my score prediction.
I'll be happy with that.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils.
We made it.
We did it. We made it through a very...
Do we get banned from the postseason as well?
No.
By self-sanction?
No, we could go to a postseason game. Do you guys want to? You guys want to like pick a bowl?
Well,
you know what we should do? We should pick a bowl game, like a weird bowl game, and just.
I have to go to Well, Jeremy and I have to go to Wisconsin's bowl game again because it'll be the third year in a row that we will because we've gone to 2 straight Wisconsin bowl games, so we've got to go again.
I was gonna say, and I
didn't
can't
go to the one 2 years ago.
I can't
Yes, you
remember
did.
if it's on the.
It was against ASU in Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We were there.
What am I thinking? I'm so silly.
Are you?
We have a
thinking?
picture together.
Yeah, I was
We have
there.
a picture together.
I forgot that they played against ASU in that game. ASU wanted to forget that they played in that game as well.
Anyway,
Herm going out in his last bowl game with a bang.
describe the bang. What I was
run all over by Wisconsin.
I was gonna say, and this will probably be the most expensive one, but go to the, and I don't know if it's in the playoff this year, but go to the last Pac-12 attended Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And whether or not we get into the stadium or just tailgate outside the bowl,
I'm not
I don't
driving
know.
6 hours to tailgate or flying 45
We
minutes.
don't
to tailgate.
fly. What? No.
That's
You can
gonna-
drive that.
That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Make sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at
X.
Sports Devils, where we'll have all the coverage from Thursday night as they play against Southern Utah. That'll be interesting to see. Also, follow AZ Sports, where there will be a lot of coverage on there for the game as well.
I'm writing the story for the game as well.
Cool.
read Jesse's thoughts after.
Yeah.
Hear us do a quick post-game react after.
Exactly.
Jesse and Jeremy have got your pregame preview that night as well. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on from us on Thursday night.
Well, we'll see you Thursday. Thanks for
Yeah.
listening.